Hi, I'm Adam from RTINGS.com. Today, we'll be reviewing the Razer Viper V2 Pro. We'll be evaluating it on our standardized test bench to see how it performs and if you should buy it. The Razer Viper V2 Pro is an ultra-lightweight wireless gaming mouse that continues Razer's popular Viper lineup. It has the same low profile and symmetrical shape as earlier models. It introduces major design changes, however, and substantial performance improvements under the hood. This mouse looks very similar to other models in the Viper series. It has a solid top shell made of slightly textured plastic. Unlike the earlier version in the lineup, the Razer Viper Ultimate, this mouse has no rubber side grips and no RGB lighting. It also only has two side buttons on the left side of the mouse, while earlier versions have a pair of side buttons on the left and right sides of the mouse. Now we'll look at the tests. Let's start with the weight. With a lighter mouse, you can make faster movements. This can give you an advantage in reaction-based games and first-person shooters. On the other hand, you may prefer a heavier, more comfortable mouse for other genres. The Viper V2 Pro is extremely lightweight, weighing only 58 grams. To add some perspective, it's 16 grams lighter than the Razer Viper Ultimate, and a single gram lighter than Logitech's flagship gaming mouse, the Logitech G Pro X Superlight. Much of that weight savings comes at a cost of the previously mentioned features that are missing on this mouse. Good build quality is important for the overall longevity of your mouse and can also play a role in how comfortable it is to use. This mouse has excellent build quality and it feels very sturdy despite being so lightweight. There aren't any rattling sounds if you shake the mouse, and there's no wobble in the scroll wheel or the buttons. You can unintentionally activate the side buttons if you squeeze with enough force into the side panels, but this isn't an issue during normal use. The Viper V2 Pro has a flexible USB-C power cord-like cable for charging the mouse. It's very lightweight and doesn't tangle easily. Moving on to the feet. The shape, location, thickness, and material of these feet contribute to how your mouse feels when you move it across your mousepad or desk. This mouse has 3 extremely high-quality feet with rounded edges. They glide very easily across hard or soft mouse pads and directly on desks as well. This medium-sized mouse has a symmetrical shape well suited for various hand sizes and grip types. It isn't ideal for small hands using a fingertip grip or larger hands using either a palm or claw grip. The sensor is the essential part of your mouse. It's responsible for translating your movements into the cursor movements you see on the screen. First up is the CPI, or DPI. This stands for counts per inch and relates to the sensitivity of your mouse. A wide CPI range with precise adjustment steps is important. Everyone has different sensitivity preferences, but most gamers prefer a CPI setting between 100 and 4000. The Viper V2 Pro is the first mouse to use Razer's new Focus Pro 30K optical sensor. It has an exceptionally high maximum CPI of 30,000. This may seem unnecessary because you'll never use the higher settings within the range. That said, it's important to keep in mind that CPI acts a bit like monitor resolution for your mouse's sensor, and having a wide CPI range does influence the overall performance of the sensor. Impressively, this sensor can also track on glass surfaces up to 2 millimeters in thickness, which is very unusual for a gaming mouse. Next, liftoff distance. A high liftoff distance means you have to lift your mouse up higher for it to stop tracking. A lower liftoff distance means your sensor stops tracking sooner as you lift it and begin moving your mouse. The minimum liftoff distance is very low, and you can adjust it in the software if you like. If you have a smaller mousepad or play on a low CPI sensitivity setting, you won't have to worry about the sensor picking up any unwanted movement when you lift it and reposition your mouse. The software also has a feature Razer calls asymmetrical cutoff, which lets you customize the liftoff and landing distance independently. Polling rate is measured in hertz and dictates how often the sensor reports its position to your computer. Typically, you want to use the highest polling rate possible, as higher values result in smoother cursor movements. This mouse supports polling rates up to 1000 hertz. This is the current standard for gaming mice and results in smooth cursor movements in-game. Click latency is a measure of how long it takes for your mouse click to be registered by your computer once you click it. A lower click latency can play a crucial role in how responsive your gaming experience feels, as any millisecond can make the difference between winning and losing. The Viper V2 Pro has remarkably low and consistent click latency. You can really feel the responsiveness in gaming within any genre. This mouse has 6 buttons, and you can program all of them except for the device pairing button on the bottom, which also toggles between up to 5 custom CPI settings. The left and right click buttons use Razer's new Gen 3 optical switches, which are rated for 90 million clicks. This mouse only has side buttons on the left side of the mouse, so it isn't a true ambidextrous option like the earlier Viper models. The Razer Viper V2 Pro connects wirelessly with a USB receiver. Razer advertises a battery life of up to 80 hours, which is another small improvement over the Razer Viper Ultimate, which has an advertised battery life of about 70 hours. Moving on to software. Companion software can be helpful for customizing sensor specifics, button mapping, and adjusting RGB lighting. Not all gamers will see it as a necessity, and some mice have simple customization controls directly on the mouse itself. This mouse uses Razer Synapse software. It's well laid out, easy to use, and allows you to adjust a range of sensor, control, and profile settings. However, like many software options from major mouse manufacturers, this software is often criticized for requiring frequent updates and taking up valuable system resources. So this brings us to the main question: should you buy this mouse? Throughout our review, we've highlighted that this mouse marks a significant departure for the Razer Viper series. While several of the most characteristic features that define the lineup are missing on this version, the finished product is a much more streamlined and performance-focused mouse. With a bleeding edge sensor, a new generation of Razer's proven optical switches, and substantial weight-saving engineering, this is arguably the best performing wireless gaming mouse currently available on the market. It probably comes as no surprise that these performance upgrades come at a cost, and there's no doubt that this mouse carries a premium price tag. While it does offer a tangible performance ceiling, there are plenty of options available that offer slightly less performance at a significantly lower price. For a cheaper alternative, we recommend looking into the Razer Viper Ultimate. Though not quite on the same level as the new Viper V2 Pro, the older Viper Ultimate has a remarkable performance in its own right, and it keeps all the legacy features that defined the lineup previously. It's also never been a better time to pick one up, as it's less expensive in the wake of the release of the V2 Pro. It also wouldn't quite be fair not to mention the Logitech G Pro X Superlight, the Viper V2 Pro's closest competitor. In many ways, the two mice are very similar high-end options, so you may personally feel the Logitech is a better fit for you. It weighs almost the same and is slightly less expensive, but doesn't quite perform as well. Its symmetrical shape is widely known for being more accommodating for a wider range of grip types and hand sizes than the Viper. You may feel that because its shape is designed to be usable by nearly everyone, it isn't quite as comfortable as the Razer, which is a bit more focused for certain hand sizes and grip types.